Close your eyes. We take a direction inward, not only to unfold a state that is otherwise dormant in a human being, state of peacefulness, but also opening an inner reflection through this knowledge that has been passed down eons after eons, timelessly, describing a transcended self, a unified consciousness. Recently, one of our satsang friends wrote me, and she is in the profession of seeing patients day after day, maybe every 15-minute slots, person after person. She said to me, "Why is everyone so exhausted? Everyone coming with complaints of being exhausted." So we observe this in human beings, that they do not know how to manage their own state. And therefore, the way they act, the way they interact, the way they feel, and the way they think drains their energy, because they don't know how to master their energy. They eat dead food. They're constantly involved in activity from the moment they wake up till the moment they fall in bed exhausted. And in sleep, they will rejuvenate, like recharging a battery. But they don't know how during the day, during the waking hours, how to keep that battery charged. So lack of knowledge is the cause of tiredness. But I'm sure when the patients come complaining of tiredness, they are not saying, "Please, doctor, give me a remedy for lack of knowledge." They're saying, "My work, my children, my husband, my wife, my situation, my health, my body, my relations, the problems with our government, problems with our societies, the environment problems." And therefore they never get to the root of their exhaustion, because they don't have the knowledge of how to recharge their energy. So meditation recharges the energy, because we are not asleep, we are not dreaming, and we are not active in the waking state. Just by sitting in this session, 1 hour together, we will be sitting. The powerful recharge, because we are not draining the senses to always engage in action. And by listening to the guidance of the meditation, we are not scattering the mind either in all the things we should do, or reflecting in the past all the things we shouldn't have done. So the mind is not engaged in past or future, in shoulds and shouldn'ts, in wants and what is that I don't want, grabbing and pushing, grabbing and pushing. All that comes to a standstill as we sit with eyes closed. We start to allow the knowledge to arise just by being still. What is this state? And what is the quality of this state? It is written in the scriptures, in the teachings of the enlightened ones, who themselves realized this state of peace, where their energy was not drained, and they gave us direction, like a kind of compass, an inner compass of how to sit in meditation and realize this otherwise dormant state called self-realization. During the waking hours, the realization is all filtered through the thinking mind. Filtered and thereby drained through the senses and the actions thereby of the body that are always being called by the senses to act, to get something from doing, gain something, always being driven forward and unable to recharge by sitting still. So it comes to our attention through the enlightened wisdoms that all manifestation can be described in three qualities. First of all, the quality which is called rajas or Raja Gun. Gun means quality, the quality of rajas, action, activity. This is the force of all creation. Everything that exists because of this power. Came into existence. It moved. Its counterpart, which perfectly balances hand in hand, is tamas, a kind of holding power. Tamagun, the quality of tamas, keeps this active rajas, the rajagun, keeps it in balance so it has a movement in time. You don't plant a seed and then the next day there's a massive oak tree. Rajas from that seed starts to sprout with its power of action, and Tamagun regulates that. So we can describe Tamagun as a regulating power towards sluggishness, inertia. And these two forces, activity and inertia, are constantly in play with each other in our waking, dreaming, and deep sleep states. In our waking states, from the moment we wake till the moment we sleep, these two states are highly active, predominant. And one is either more on the side of action, activity, or more on the side of sluggishness. And the struggle is in between these two. I either have to do more or I'm trying to slow down and do less. We're either feeling a sense of dragging ourselves, or we're having a sense of being pushed and you can't quite slow down. The mind is too fast, won't find its settledness, spinning ahead. The emotions, they're spinning out, scattering themselves in all directions. I feel like this, and there's a counter force. Maybe I also feel like that. There's contradiction there. These contradictory forces, the emotional state. Because in the emotional level, we both want and don't want at the same time. These forces are creating a scattered energy, a discordant force between these two qualities of manifestation, rajas and tamas. There's a third quality that no human being studies about in school that I'm aware of, but we come upon the knowledge of it. That is the quality of sattva, of refinement, of subtlety, a kind of dynamic stillness, consciousness that is not of thinking, but it is not stupid. It is not thinking. A kind of brilliance of the observer, the higher perceiver in the mind that can examine, free from the influences of rajas and tamas. Meditation cultivates this third quality, sattva. Because we are not giving more energy to rajas and tamas, we are allowing some space and some stillness for the energy to find this most refined channel that is not of doing, not of thinking, not of the emotions, not of experiencing, and not of sensing. So do not use those faculties to try and understand yourself in your most subtle state. Do not use action or thinking. Do not try and feel emotionally or experientially or sensually. Open the higher perception, the sattvic perception in your mind that observes. Can be described as the knower. It is not of the mental knowing, but a conscious knower, an observant knower. Needs some time for it to awaken. Some patience also. And the use of the subtle intelligence, the sattvic mind. I'll read a little as we go into meditation of the qualities of sattva, the qualities of the self. the sense of oneness, pure dynamism, contentment, bliss, and a strong grounding in the awareness of the highest self. Strong grounding and awareness of the highest self are the qualities of Satwa Guna, and help keep one's focus on our goal, enlightenment. Oneness, dynamism, contentment, bliss, and a strong grounding in awareness of the highest self. This is what is cultivated in meditation. The mind influenced by tamas and rajas, tamagun and rajagun, the influences of dullness, of duality, of prejudice, of agitation, of anger, of deception. How are they going to realize oneness, dynamism, contentment, bliss, and a strong grounding in awareness of the highest self? Why does a person feel tired, exhausted, agitated, discontent, disappointed, frustrated, lost, confused, depressed, anxious? Why do they harbor all kinds of negative thought about themselves and about others? This is what the doctor asked me. Why are my patients coming with all these states? And no medicine that I'm giving them is truly helping them, because they do not have the knowledge of life as it is. They have the knowledge of life as they think it to be, influenced by Rajagun and Tamagun, the qualities of deception, anger, prejudice, dullness, etc. How can knowledge be revealed with the veil of Rajas and Tamas Guna? They lack knowledge. They lack the knowledge of their true self. In Sanskrit, this is called avidya. They lack the knowledge of their true self. I just want to read this last little bit. Then we'll have some time for meditation, although it's been a meditation throughout. The knowledge that I am, or that I exist, has a basis which is not changing. The knowledge that I am, or that I exist, not the knowledge that I think, the knowledge that I feel, the knowledge that I do. This is the knowledge of who I am. States it exactly at the beginning, the first statement. The knowledge that I am, or that I exist, has a basis which is not changing. The unchanging I, or self, is the witness observer of the three states of consciousness: waking, dream, and deep sleep. Now, all those three states will be influenced by the qualities of Rajas and Tamas. Your true self is beyond the intellect and all the thoughts belonging to it, because it continues to exist even when thoughts come and go. Your true self is existing as unchanging even when thoughts come and go. This is the basic practice in meditation. Thoughts come, thoughts go. What is remaining ever as self, as me, the observer. The inner eye, self, sees everything, but itself is unseen. Thus, it knows the thoughts of the intellect, but is not known by them. The inner eye, which we can call the self, yourself, your highest self, sees everything, but itself is unseen. Thus, it knows the thoughts of the intellect, but is not known by them. The real you, your real self, is that which creates everything, but itself is not created. The world is its reflection, but it is not a reflection. The world is its reflection, meaning the world is a reflection of the self, but the self is not a reflection. Self gives life to body, senses, mind, intellect, ego, and all that which is experienced due to the functions of self. The entire world and our experiences of the world, which are based on body, mind, senses, intellect, and ego, are created out of pure consciousness, self. Thus, self is considered the heart of every aspect of creation. Self, pure consciousness, is the eternal, indivisible inner being of all that is seen and known. Self, pure consciousness, is the eternal, indivisible inner being of all that is seen and known. It is the essence of intelligence and powers the sense and the energies operating in the body. See, one thinks that they're a victim of their body. The body is operating me, and the body is leading me into exhaustion. Because there's no knowledge here of what is the self. That it is the self that is the essence of intelligence. And it is the self that powers the senses and the energies operating in the body. The power contained in self is like a burning sun. This unseen power gives light and life to the entire universe. The self is the knower of the mind, senses, and all that is perceived. It moves everything from the smallest particle up to the largest celestial body. Yet, it does not move and does not become confined in any form itself. It is not born, does not die, it does not increase, nor does it decrease. It is eternal, so it does not dissolve when a form dissolves. It is like the space in which all forms appear, into which they all disappear. Self is uniquely different from nature and its modifications. It is pure knowledge and manifests as human knowing in the waking, dream, and deep sleep states, but it does not come and go with them. It is the unchanging I that permeates these three states. It's the unchanging I that we are realizing by cultivating this quality of sattva, the refinement to discern the changing from the unchanging. The power of sattva that can start to tune into, I can see and know everything, but I myself am unseen, unknowable, and yet I exist. To unfold this knowledge of self, one needs to cultivate sattva. And we need to follow guidelines of our life habits, such as eating food that is alive, not dead, food that is life-giving, company that is life-giving, activities that are life-giving, and master a mental environment that is life-giving, not life-draining, life-confusing, life-dulling, life-agitating. Cultivate refinement, oneness, and the stillness that is a dynamic stillness, an alive stillness, not a dull stillness of inertia, but a dynamic stillness that is sattva, that is meditation, that is your higher being, highest being, that is amaram, unchanging, ever-present, indestructible, and madharam, contentment, peacefulness, blissfulness, subtlety. Meditate on your true nature. Amaram ham, madharam ham. I exist blissfully, eternally, ever presently, indestructibly, as the knower, seer, sattvic self. Take some time in silence, trusting and realizing that you are cultivating the highest quality of our existence. Amaram ham, madharam ham, amaram ham, madharam ham. Let this mantra guide you to this knowledge that is otherwise lacking, a human being, and leading them into exhaustion, confusion, agitation. Awaken this knowledge of your highest being, sattvic self, amaram, unchanging self, madharam, full and complete, internally satisfied, I exist. You can open to this state, dynamic stillness, sattva, Satwa Guna, the quality of sattva, quality oneness, knower, blissfulness, awareness, knowledge of yourself unchanging, ever present, pure and free. This sattva, this quality, highest, most refined being, will reveal such a great knowledge of life from which you will know from the simplest, most obvious things, like what food will nourish you rather than deplete your energy, what company to keep, and how to manage the company you keep in terms of keeping it high and buoyant, uncomplicated, unnecessarily sticky in the mud of rajas and tamas guna, dissatisfaction, disgruntledness, complaining, and negativity. This quality will unstick you. Just sit as you do. It is happening. We take 1 hour this morning. Doesn't have to be 1 hour. It's beautiful when it is. Just take a few minutes every day in dynamic stillness, in intelligence of the knower, unchanging, ever present, pure and free.